Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to show you a shell modifier and using the 4x4x4 modifier. So first what I'll do is I'm going to create a spoon, and I'm also going to do this. I'm going to add in here soft selection. So I'll show you what that is. So soft selection, will start off with that. I'm going to make let's just say I'm going to make a really terrible looking spoon, and I'm going to start off with this shape. And that seems like enough. Let's add some more. That seems like enough right there. So what I'll have to do is round out the edges, and I'll just do that by kind of going by eye. Excuse me. Alright, I'm going to go into the, after I convert this box into an editable poly, I'm going into vertex mode, which is 1 on the keyboard, and I'm going to select these two edges, these two rows of vertices. And I do that just by clicking and dragging, and then I want to add to this, I want to also include this side, but if you don't hold control, it will deselect what you already have selected. So from the start, I'm selecting the left side row of vertices, I'm going to hold control and select the other side. So now I'm going to activate the scale tool, and I'm going to scale these vertices down and in on the X, and then I'll probably just scale these out on the Y. Whoops. This is a very bad spoon, but it's good for this example. And then if I wanted to, I could probably scale these out too to get a little more rounded look. Let's see if it looks better here. Okay, that's probably okay. So first, I will show you what soft selection is. If you just select a vertice right now as it is without soft selection on, it's only going to move that vertice. So you're just going to be moving points at a time. And if you wanted to get a nice concave, rounded interior of a spoon, you would have to select each one of these vertices and manually move them down one by one and adjust them. But a much easier way to do that, one way of doing that, is clicking on soft selection. So over here, every time you convert an object to an editable poly, whoops, you have soft selection in the vertices and the edges and all that. So I'm going to go to the vertices and turn on soft selection. So when you have no vertices selected, nothing happens. But when I select a vertex, you'll notice that the whole thing turns colors. And this is color coded in terms of hot and cold. The closer the color is to red, the more it's going to be affected by whatever I do to that vertex that I had selected. So in this case, it's this vertex. The closer that color is to blue, which is cold or frozen, it will not be affected. But right now, these are not entirely royal blue, so they will be affected slightly. So when I move this vertex up, it sort of pulls the rest around it. And you have some control over that over here. I can turn the fall off down, which changes the color. It makes the fall off go a little bit smaller there. Okay, so if I wanted to do a spoon, I would probably select the middle vertices like this. Probably test that out to see what it looks like. It's getting closer. I'll increase the fall off. Push this down. And maybe include up here. Like I said, this is a bad spoon. I would probably go about it in a different way. Alright. So that is theoretically how you would use soft selection. And then if I wanted to, I could extrude this polygon out. And that's kind of a bad spoon right there. If I wanted to make a nice spoon, I would import a reference picture of a spoon. I would place an image on the ground of it, and then I would model this around the image of the spoon so I could get the contours or the silhouette of the spoon exactly right. I could press Control X or Alt X and then model around the spoon so it would look exactly correct. And then I would look at a side view of a spoon, and I would model the side view off of an image of a spoon, and I would get it 100% correct. But in the spirit of just showing you how to use soft selection, that's how you essentially use it. And I'm going to undo that. And now I'm going to show you how to do FFD. Actually, I can show you one more thing. Turbo Smooth. Let's see what a Turbo Smooth will do to this. It's a modifier, and it sort of takes what you have, your design. It's really edgy right now. And press F9 and look at it. It's really edgy and angled. If I add a Turbo Smooth, it rounds it out, smooths it out a little bit. And that's as simple as going up here to the modifier list and typing TU for Turbo Smooth, and it adds a smoothness. You can see what your image or your object looks like by clicking on the eye, on and off. If you want to lock that in, you can right click on it, convert it into editable poly, and it will collapse that modifier to be a part of the object. I'm going to add that here. Alright, now what I'm going to do is show you an FFD 4x4x4 modifier. So a modifier is located right above the editable poly, so you click up here, go to FFD 4x4x4. This is your best friend. Basically a cage of grid points is put around an object. This makes modeling so easy. I'm going to open up the FFD 4x4x4, and in order to click on these control points, you have to select control points here. So this is very similar to soft selection. I'm going to select these grid points. The easiest way to do that is probably just click and drag through the center so I can get all of them, because there are some in the middle. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 high, and then 4 wide or long. So I've selected the 2 rows of control points in the middle here, and now I can just drag the spoon head this way. And I don't know, is the spoon wider at the bottom? If it is, I can select these points down here and then drag it out. Maybe it's wider and towards the bottom, and then a little bit more narrow here. I don't know. I don't use a spoon, I use my hands. Alright, and I'm going to collapse that down. That's an FFD 4x4x4, but I'm going to show you a better example on another object, more simple. Probably a box here. Show you what it can do. Okay, I'm just going to go add an FFD 4x4x4. Show you what it does. So I open up the 4x4, click on some control points, and now I can move the top of this. Scale it. Scale it down. I can move this over. Move this over. Scale this up in the middle a bit. Maybe grab the end here. Scale it in on the Y. Maybe do the same thing on this end. Maybe do the same thing up here. On the Y-axis to round it out. Now I've basically just made a banana out of a box. And I can throw a Turbo Smooth on it if I want. I probably don't need to. That looks more like something else. Probably just leave it like this, convert it into an editable poly, and throw a bitmap of a banana on it. That would work perfectly. Just out of a box and an FFD. I didn't have to do anything difficult. Let's see what else I have to cover. I think I did it all. Shell modifier. Alright, for some of the people that are making cups and plates, a shell modifier is a pretty easy thing, and I'll explain why you can use it, or why you should use it in certain circumstances. Convert this into an editable poly. Now I'm going to go to a left view by pressing L, and I'm going to delete the top of this and show you how we can make a bowl out of a sphere. Press P for perspective, and now I'm going to move this up the screen so you can see why we would add a shell to this. Right now it looks like a bowl. Why can't you use that? I can press scale, move it down a little bit, make it into a salad bowl. We all need to eat healthy. But 3ds Max does not render the inside of objects. Every object, once you put a hole in it or if you look inside of it, you won't be able to render it, and I'll show you what I mean. If I press F9, it's only going to show the top of the side here, like so. It's kind of hard to see from this angle. Now if I look down it in the middle, I must have a funny renderer. Alright, so what I said is true, but for whatever reason it is rendering the inside of this polygon. But anyways, disregard that for the sake of this module, and I'm going to add a shell modifier. So again, when you convert something to an editable poly, you have the modifier list above it. You can click on it, type SH for shell. This will add thickness here, and you can increase the thickness amount, and then right click, turn it into an editable poly, press F9, there's a bowl. Alright, I am going to stop.